Welcome everybody, buenos dias. We're here in Argentine Patagonia on a project called Deluge and Drought, combining historical memories, lived experience and science to improve water security in the drylands of Argentine Patagonia. And when I say we, that's myself, Stephen Tooth, and Royal Society Newton International Fellow Manu Singh. We've generously been funded for this project through the International Science Partnerships Follow-on Fund. This money basically has come down from the Higher Education Funding Council for Wales, but is being administered through Aberystwyth University. And as well as us two on the project, there's also Howell Griffiths from Aberystwyth University and our three Argentinian colleagues, Gabriel Carles, Anna Lieberoff and Natalia Pasach, who have affiliations with the National University of Patagonia, and two of them also have affiliations with the Argentinian research organisation CONICET. So we're just going to talk in this video a little bit about the purpose of this particular part of the project and where we've been and where we're going and our impressions. And essentially the project, as I just said, or alluded to in the title, has three components: historical memories of floods and droughts, understanding people's lived experiences of floods and droughts, but also how we can use science to identify, characterise and quantify floods and droughts. And Manu and myself are particularly interested in the hydrodynamics of the wetlands in the drylands of Argentine Patagonia. So that's what we're looking at on this bit of the trip. It's my fifth trip to Argentina, it's Manu's first. And he's just going to go and get the camera and we'll have a look at the route that we're going to follow on the map. It's quite an ambitious driving route that we're doing, but I'll just talk you through where we were yesterday and where we're going over the next few days. So just bear with us while he brings the camera over. So assuming that many of you watching this video are not familiar with Argentina, here's a map. So put you in the picture, this is south at the bottom, north towards the top. Buenos Aires is off the map, somewhere up here, and it's a 2-hour flight from Buenos Aires down to Trelew, down here, which is where we landed. And yesterday we drove roughly 250 kilometers or so after we picked up the hire car south from Trelew down on the tarred road, and then took the dirt road down to Punto Tombo, where there's a pinguinera or a penguin rookery, and then we followed a dirt road down south to Cabo Raso and around and down to Camarones, and that's where we spent the night. So that was 5 or 6 hours of driving to go about 250 kilometers. Today we've already started on our journey westward, and we've headed up back to the tarred highway, and we've come down and we're just at a crossing near the Rio Chico, which we'll talk about in a separate video. Ultimately we're going to come down around to Sarmiento, and then over the next few days we're going to do this circular loop which will bring us close to the Andes, to Teca, and then we'll head back east at Teca through Paso de los Indios, Los Altares and to Las Plumas, and we'll meet up with our three Argentine colleagues, and then we'll explore some of the catchments just to the north of the road here, and then end up back to Trelew, Puerto Madryn and Peninsula Valdez. Okay, so as I said, this is my fifth trip to Argentina. It's Manu's first trip, so I'm just going to ask him really what his impressions of Argentina are so far, and particularly the things that he's found the most surprising.
Thank you, Professor. So yes, this is my first trip in this continent. Immediate thoughts are it's really huge and very sparsely populated. Yesterday we traveled on one of the dirt roads and we just encountered 3 cars, nothing else. That was the most surprising thing, especially being from India, where we have people everywhere. We are so densely populated, and land is arid, but as you can see here also we have quite a lot of green patches, and we kept encountering such green patches in our path yesterday too, and that was a bit surprising. But most surprising thing for me was finding penguins in this arid area, and Professor will talk about that a bit more, how they are also a geomorphic agent. So I leave that to him. But finding penguins in this hot climate, when we think about penguin, we always think about something south pole, but finding them here was fascinating. Other than that, I am in very awe with this place. Very beautiful. As far as I can see everything. Yesterday we were talking about clouds and landscapes. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, the thing that surprised me, even though this is my 5th trip, I'd forgotten how sparsely populated many parts of Patagonia are, and we only saw 2 or 3 cars on a long afternoon drive of about 200 kilometres yesterday. So this is a pretty remote part of the world. Yeah, one of the surprising things to me was seeing the penguin rookery, and I hadn't realised just how important penguins are as earth-shaping agents. So they dig their rookeries. These are Magellanic penguins that we saw, and they burrow into the sediment on the hillsides close to the coast. And create a barrier for themselves. The penguins maybe are that tall, so they shift quite a lot of earth, and there's many thousands of these penguins there. So collectively, they're shifting an awful lot of earth, probably at rates far greater than rainfall and runoff processes alone. So that was one surprising thing. The other surprising thing to me, having not really looked too closely at the coastline of Patagonia before, was the profound evidence for fossil beach ridges and fossil lagoons behind the beach ridges that we saw at many points on our drive, particularly down around Cabo Basso and then coming down to Camarones. So that made me think, what's the tectonic history of this coastline? And having done a bit of research this morning, it's very clear that the eastern Patagonian coastline is uplifting, and it's uplifting at a fairly fast rate, actually, of about, according to the studies that have been done, of about 1.4 millimeters every 10 years or so, which maybe doesn't sound that much, but over 100 years, that's a centimeter and a half, say. And you scale that up, and over many thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, the whole coastline of Patagonia has been uplifting. So beach ridges are forming, and they're gradually being abandoned as they're being lifted above the level of the sea. But they then provide a blockage to ephemeral streams that are trying to reach the coast. And commonly we're getting these wetlands forming behind them, where the water ponds and pools. So that's something we're going to look at much more closely. We need to research that a bit more and find out what people have studied previously about the tectonic uplift, and whether anyone has looked in any detail at any of these floodplain wetlands that are forming. I don't know about you, Manu, what's your sort of main thing you're going to follow up and research?
Yeah, so one of the goal was to find wetlands here, because we are working on wetlands of arid areas, drylands, and the algorithm that I developed that for Ganga plains, where we have plenty of water, so wetlands are kind of easier to find. Here, when I applied that algorithm, I had to do a lot of changes, and I still am doing a lot of changes, because this area doesn't have a definite weather pattern. So it's not a wet season or dry season kind of. Always it's some rain or mostly no rain kind of situation. So finding the sweet spot when water will be there, my satellite will also pass, because we see the clouds, right? So finding the sweet spot where water is there plus there is no cloud is a key thing that I am trying to find. But hydrologically speaking, we found a lot of wetlands. Some of them seem to be saline, some of them might be fresh water, but they are here. And other than that, we see green patches. Green patches means there are moistures below the soil. So there might be not the surface manifestation of wetlands, but these are also an indicator that water is close to surface.
Okay, well, we shall update you on our journey around the province of Chubut and discuss the various things that we see along the route, but that's a little introduction to the project. Yeah,